Okay, my next and last offering from Bachmann in terms of my Class 47 fleet is this BR large logo, Class 47 535, University of Leicester. It runs beautifully, it's a beautiful looking loco, and the only difference with this one are both the cabs have got the different front ends to them, as most of the 47s had a slightly recessed front end, and this one hasn't on both ends. And that's the only real difference, and it's a lovely loco. Okay, the next offering is from Hornby, and this is my Class 50011, which is called Centurion, and it's in the BR large logo liveried. And I have to say, I have always been a huge fan of Class 50s, and even when I was a kid and I was looking at them at Waterloo and looking at them at Paddington, they were always my favourite locos to look at, and I loved the sound of them as well. It's a beautiful loco. The only issues that I have with these Hornby Class 50s are the lighting on the top. I have two 50s which have had issues with lighting on the top, so I think it's a Hornby thing, but they are just super detailed. They look absolutely exquisite, and I do have a Lima 50 which you'll see in a short while, and you'll see just how different the detailing is between a Lima and this Hornby Class 50. Okay, the next loco to come into shop is my Lima Class 50, and this is an elderly Class 50. Still, considering it's a Lima loco, it looks in pretty fine condition. It's been repainted by myself, and it represents the interim livery before British Rail decided to go for the BR large logo livery, and they experimented with this livery, and so I have replicated it on my Lima Class 50. It's yet to be renumbered and renamed, and it will be renumbered to 50023, called How, and that was the loco that was actually carried this livery before it got repainted into the standard BR large logo livery. My next loco to grace the scene is another Hornby Class 50, and this is Thunderer 50008, and it's a beautiful loco, and it was one of the few 50s that carried this livery. This is the one that really stuck with this livery. Ramillies was another one that carried this livery for a short time, and actually Illustrious 50037 was another of the 50s which carried this livery for an extremely short period of time, but this particular one, Thunderer, was the one that actually carried it for the longest, and it's preserved in this livery. My next loco to come into shop is another 50 from Hornby, and this is Superb, Class 50002, called Superb. And it's the only loco in the fleet that is weathered, and that's purely because it's factory weathered. I haven't done anything to it. Again, it's like I said, it's a gorgeous loco. 50s are my favourite, and I love them in this livery. Although I do feel that the shade is slightly darker on the, too dark on the Hornby ones, as opposed to the older Lima ones, which I think got the blue just right. But nonetheless, it's a gorgeous loco, It's in a gorgeous livery. It looks absolutely superb, as is the name of the Loco. And yeah, I'm glad I got it, and it's my mum that got it for me for Christmas, so thank you, Mum. For my next Loco, you may need your rear defenders for this one, because it's a very noisy Loco, and it's my BR large logo, Hornby, class 56113. At the moment, this Loco is being used as part of my engineering works. I hope to get some hoppers for it relatively soon to do some coal work. Ideally, I think this is like an ex-mainline thing that Hornby took over, so it isn't one of the new super detailed ones, but I'd love to get my hands on one of those, and maybe in the future I might be able to get hold of one, but in the meantime this one will suffice just as well, and it has a job to do. So yeah, it's a lovely Loco, but like I said, you need your ear defenders for it. My next Loco coming into shot is my Hornby class 59005 in the Yeoman livery, and it's called Kenneth J. Painter. And I wanted to get a 66 for my layout, but it's a bit too new for my era, and I know there's a lot of modeller's license, and I could probably just turn around and just say, well, I'll run whatever I like. But for the meantime, I've decided to get this 59, as it was actually appropriate for the era, and these were the earlier versions of the 66s. The only thing I'm a bit disappointed is with the Hornby ones is that they've used the same tooling for the 66 as they have for the 59, and the 59, the lighting here was actually vertical, not horizontal, so I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't get that right and didn't feel the need to do that, because it would have made the 59 more authentic. So it's just a pity, but I can live with that. And it's a beautiful Loco, and it runs lovely. The next Loco member of my fleet is another one of my favourite class. I absolutely love this class, and this is the class 60. Currently I own two, and this is the first of the two. This one is a petroleum liveried class 60062 in the Samuel Jackson, and it's the name. And this one was a very difficult Loco to get hold of, and I've managed to pick this one up from my local model shop second hand. I got it for a good price. I have had one or two issues with this Loco. Primarily it's to do with lighting, so it's probably to do with Hornby and the contacts, and also to do with the couplings as well. They tend to sometimes derail because the spring loaded couplings that they are. I've left it on one end, I've left this spring here, but on the other side I've taken the spring out, and it's made a huge difference to not derailing the tankers behind it. So that is a tip. If you are having issues with any Hornby 60s and with them derailing, please, it's probably an idea to take the spring off the coupling, and that will allow the coupling to move freely. I got this tip from Everard Junction, and I tried it on my 60 because I was having the same issues, and it turns out to be the case. So if you do have issues with derailing coaches or tankers or anything, whatever you're using your 64 and it has derailing issues, then it's worth having a look at removing the spring to see whether or not that will help. Okay, the next Loco to grace the layout is the second of my 60s. and it's an EWS Class 60026. Now, in truth, this Loco is probably a bit too new for my layout, in all honesty. However, when I saw it, I love 60s, and it's at a great price, and it was so awesome. I just had to buy it. So I love it to pieces. And like I said, if I decide to run a slightly later era, then that's fine. It will work out quite nicely. And like I said, I love it to pieces, and it just looks so awesome. Yeah, so it's truly, after my 50s, it's truly my favourite Loco. Okay, the next Loco to come to my fleet is my 73 in the BR Blue livery. It's not running great at the minute. It needs a good service and a good clean. It's got the Class 33 surplus head code codes on it, as you can see here, because I think they look more realistic than the standard ones that come on the 73, and I really don't like it, so I replaced it on both this end and on the other end. This one is a Lima example, and that's why it's a bit on the noisy side, but I do like it, and I like it on the exhibition layouts that I've seen it on, so I'm looking forward to getting it serviced and getting it up and running properly soon. Okay, the next one to grace the scene is another Class 73. This time it's the NSE version, the revised NSE version, and it's 73-129 with the City of Winchester. And I like this Loco. Well, obviously I like all of my Locos, but this one is because of the fact I have actually been to the City of Winchester, and it is actually fairly local to me, and I do love the city, and so I do have some sort of connection with this Loco. And I think it's a beautiful example of a Class 73, and this is the later Hornby version, as opposed to my blue one, which was a Lima version.